Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're taking a quick look, really a journey through the history of artificial intelligence.
We've got this great timeline to guide us.
Yeah, exactly. We want to unpack the key moments, maybe some surprising turns, that shaped AI from way back, its theoretical roots, to, well, where it is now.
Right, how it's showing up everywhere.
Think of it as your express pass to understanding how we actually got here. Okay, let's jump right in.
Sounds good. This timeline, it really shows AI isn't new. It's got deep roots, and it's evolved through these, well, distinct phases.
Absolutely. And it seems to start way back 1943 with McCulloch and Pitts, their mathematical model of artificial neurons. It's kind of amazing trying to describe brain cells with math.
Yeah.
That was the first step towards, well, AI brains as we think of them.
Exactly. That abstract model, it laid the groundwork, for neural networks. Then, 1950, Alan Turing comes along.
Ah, the Turing test.
Yes, with his paper, Computing Machinery and Intelligence. And the famous Turing test, basically, can a machine fool you into thinking it's human?
Which really forced people to think, well, what is intelligence? What does AI even mean?
Right. A philosophical benchmark, almost.
And then, okay, a huge moment in 1956, the Dartmouth Workshop.
That's the one. Officially seen as the birth of AI as like a proper academic field.
John McCarthy coining the term artificial intelligence there. It really marks the formal start.
And that workshop, it kicked off this era of incredible optimism,
Oh yeah, like what?
Well, early programs like the logic theorist, it could actually prove mathematical theorems. The ambition was just huge from the start.
Wow, and I read about the general problem solver too, trying to mimic human problem solving.
Exactly. And then you had Eliza in 66.
A chatbot.
Yeah, simulating conversation. An early attempt at natural language processing, making machines seem like they understand us.
Even if it was maybe more of an illusion back then.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
But then things shifted. The early 70s hit, and that optimism, it started to fade.
Funding dried up. What went wrong?
Well, the big promises weren't really being delivered. The early techniques, they just weren't powerful enough for the really complex problems people wanted to solve.
Okay.
And there was a key report, the Lighthill report in the UK in 73. It was pretty critical, questioned the promises, and that triggered major funding cuts.
So the first AI winter.
That's what they call it. Plus, you have to remember the computers themselves were still pretty basic. Primitive computing power was a huge barrier.
Right. The hardware just couldn't keep up with the ideas. But okay, the story picks up again, doesn't it? The 80s expert system.
Exactly. A revival. Systems like Dendrol, which started earlier but became influential then, helped chemists.
Practical application.
Yes, and MYCIN for medical diagnosis. It was actually shown to be more accurate than junior doctors in some tests, though it was never really used clinically.
Still, it showed the potential in specialized fields.
Definitely. And then Japan launched its huge fifth-generation project aiming for advanced AI. That really sparked international competition and investment again.
Seems like a pattern here. Optimism, then reality bites. Because the late 80s, early 90s, that brought the second AI winter, right?
It turned out maintaining those expert systems, updating their knowledge bases, was incredibly difficult and expensive. The real world changes too fast.
And the business side.
Yeah, some of those specialized AI hardware companies, like Symbolics, they collapsed. The commercial expectations weren't met.
And hardware was still a bottleneck.
Still a limitation for the really advanced stuff, yeah. So funding dipped again. That cyclical nature of AI hype and investment.
Okay, but then things really change gear. Mid-90s, we get the rise of machine learning. This feels like a fundamental shift.
It really was. Instead of programmers writing explicit rules, the algorithm started learning from data. And a huge public moment was 1997, IBM's Deep Blue defeating Garry Kasparov in chess.
I remember that. That was massive news.
Yeah.
Showed AI could handle incredibly complex strategic tasks.
A major milestone. And around this time, you had two other crucial factors converging.
Moore's Law.
Yep. Computing power increasing exponentially. And just as importantly, the explosion of big data. Suddenly, there was loads more data to train these algorithms on.
The perfect storm for machine learning.
Precisely. More data, faster computers. It just fueled massive progress, which led into the deep learning revolution around 2012.
AlexNet.
AlexNet is the big one, yeah. Huge breakthrough in image recognition, drastically reducing errors. Suddenly, AI could see much more accurately.
That feels like another game changer.
Absolutely. And from there, things accelerated rapidly. Big investments, like Google buying DeepMind in 2014.
And leaps in understanding language too, right?
Yeah.
Models like BERT.
BERT in 2018 was a major step for natural language processing. Deep learning using these much more complex neural networks was transforming everything.
Which, well, brings us pretty much to today. The 2020s. AI feels like it's everywhere now.
It really does. Healthcare diagnosis, drug discovery, autonomous vehicles, or at least the systems powering them, and of course, large language models.
Yeah, GPT-3, BERT, and then ChatGPT in 2022. That just blew up public awareness, didn't it?
Absolutely. ChatGPT really put advanced AI capabilities into millions of hands, sparking huge excitement, but also, important ethical questions.
Definitely raising those questions. So,
Yeah.
looking ahead, what's the focus
A
now?
lot of focus is on explainable AI, making these systems less of a black box. Ethical considerations are huge. Seamless integration into our lives. Human AI collaboration.
And the big one, artificial general intelligence, AGI.
That's still the long-term, maybe ultimate goal for some. Creating AI with human-like general intelligence. It raises all sorts of philosophical questions.
It really does. So, reflecting on this whole journey, theoretical models, these cycles of boom and bust, and now this incredible acceleration, what's the main takeaway?
I think it shows progress isn't neat or linear. You get these bursts, then periods where we hit limits, either conceptual or technical. But the current combination, the computing power, the data, the algorithms, it's driving change at a rate we haven't really seen before.
It certainly feels that way. Okay, so here's something to think about. Considering this rapid evolution we've just talked through, what do you think are the biggest societal shifts coming as AI gets even more integrated? And maybe more importantly, what questions should we all be asking now to prepare for whatever that future looks like? That's your deep dive thought for today. Thanks for joining us.